Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. We've got an exciting region having just risen here in the northeast. Some M-class flares produced. Likelihood of solar flares way up. Likelihood of geomagnetic storms quite high. We'll cover that and lots more here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. And thanks for tuning in, by the way. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. Here's some more imagery from SDO. It's the intensity gram from yesterday and today, and let me tell you, we've got some new sunspot groups forming in the southern hemisphere. We'll get to those in high res toward the end of the video. Also, we've got your colorized magnetogram, as we show most days on the channel. So a little uptick here in solar activity. Let's take a look at volcanism and seismicity real quick. Shivaluch, now back on the list. As it explodes on the Kamchatka Peninsula, it's producing a flight level 130, a 13,000-foot plume of volcanic ash, 7,000-foot plume of volcanic ash from Nishino-shima. Sakurajima also erupting, flight level 070, it's a 7,000-foot ash plume, and Suwanose-jima, 8,000-foot ash plume as Suwanose-jima explodes. Now, the White Island of New Zealand, let's see, some minor ash emissions there reported on September 18th. Volcanic alert level remains at level 2. I don't know why it's appearing on the list if nothing's really happened, but there you go. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico, producing a 20,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Fuego in Guatemala exploding, 16,000-foot ash plume, flight level 160. Flight level 190 as Nevado de Ruiz explodes in Colombia. Sangre exploding in Ecuador, flight level 210. Not sure on the plume size of Revenador, but Sabancaya is exploding, 24,000-foot ash plume over Peru. It's a flight level 240. And check it out, the largest quake of the past 24, that's the 90-day bar graph to conveniently show you the latest quakes. Largest quake of the past 24 came in early this morning at the Volcanism Ridge. It's a 6.0 there in the North Atlantic. So those quakes increasing in size here over the past few days. A huge earthquake swarm happening there at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That one came in at 118 this morning on October 1st. Starting out the month with a large quake on the North American side of the plate boundary there. That's our zoom in for the Volcanism Ridge. And let's zoom out to our normal size map here. There you go. We're going to scroll up the list here. Quite a few quakes around the Pacific Rim. And another quake right on the equator there at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Sort of closer to Africa. Among the largest quakes were this 5.2 in El Salvador, this 5.9 at Indonesia. That one came in at 1928. Yesterday evening, also a 5.4 near Saipan, quite far out in the Pacific Ocean actually. 5.0 at north of Ascension Island. And if we missed anything, let us know in the comments. Thanks to everybody who's left comments. And let's get back to space. Here's SDO for the past 24 hours in 171 angstroms. And all eyes on this active region up here. It's exciting. The radio flux still at 137 solar flux units. You can expect an increase as we do see sunspots increasing here. So sunspot number going to jump way up along with an increase in the radio flux. There's a 1-year graph of that to put it in context. The black line is the radio flux. The red line is the sunspot number. And NOAA forecasting ongoing coronal hole high-speed stream and CME impact geomagnetic storms all into Monday. In fact, all through the day Monday. Geomagnetic unrest still forecasted at the end of the day there, Monday, October 3rd. So we'll see what happens. At the moment, things are quite quiet. No CMEs or high-speed coronal hole streams, at least no new ones showing up here. Showing up a little bit late, as we sort of forecasted yesterday. So here's a Quick look at Earth's geospace as modeled by the Space Weather Modeling Framework for the past 4 hours. And it is a very low pressure environment here at the moment, based on the readings that we're seeing at Lagrange 1 where the solar wind is measured. Now keep in mind, Lagrange 1 is about 1 million miles away from the Earth. Anyway, that's the last 4 hours there. Things pretty calm here, geomagnetically speaking, at the moment. So no major upticks there. So far, it's all quiet on the geomagnetic front. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And yeah, just chilling here. And it's going to be a big signal when we do see an increase in the solar wind density followed by an increase in the solar wind speed, the signal of a coronal hole high-speed stream. As far as the CME, I'm not so sure that there is one headed this way, but let's see what happens. So here's the KP index, a measurement of global geomagnetism for the past 3 days. And we've come up off the floor there from a KP0 now to a KP1, planetary K index at 1. So now we've got some likely errored data here, as the data is showing less than 1 proton per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. And that is now the ACE and Discover, I think. Well, I think it's just the ACE at this moment. Anyway, current solar wind here showing up as reported at, geez, it's all over the place. Let's say 440 kilometers per second. Solar wind density showing up very low there, shockingly low at 0.26 protons per cubic centimeter. You've got to have over 3 cubic centimeters to find a single proton. That's how diffuse that reading is. It might be an error. So anyway, there's the reading from just the ACE. And indeed, you can see those incredibly low readings suspected as being errors. I won't comment further on that. Let's just move forward. Here is the GOES magnetometer. 2 GOES magnetometers, actually, the GOES 16 and 17. And we're seeing a continued low highs and high lows, a tighter range there for the GOES magnetometers. And let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. I think there may be a South Pole current sheet about to snap through. Let's see if it shows up. Not showing up yet. But that's the current state of affairs. The top view, the plane field plot, is one of the most important factors that we can use to make forecasts about what's going on with space weather forecasting. If you know how to read this imagery, you are one step ahead of most of the planet's population. You might even understand the physics, who knows? So let's go to the line of sight field plot. There is the sun's B field in blue, solar polar fields in green for north, red for south. And it's time to see what evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes. Interesting factor here is the fact that the north solar polar field remains at least partially fixated at the north heliographic pole, as you can see there. There is quite a lot of North Pole magnetism right there at the heliographic North Pole. Let's take a look at it in 211 angstroms. And those are all North Pole-oriented coronal holes. There is a South Pole one rotating in here, so right at the end of this you'll see some red showing up there. It's not yet visible because it's behind this sunspot, so the corona is very bumpy, and it is all that bright plasma is covering up that South Pole-oriented coronal hole. That's the last 24 hours from SDO in 211 angstroms. Moving on to sunspots next. Again, exciting sunspots. There's a new one having just formed down here in the southeast. But the main story is sunspot 3112. It's quite magnetically complex. The likelihood of major solar flares remains very high. Also, we have these setting groups here, and there's been some activity from these groups as well, so lots of stuff going on. Let's take a look at the solar magnetogram from SDO. Let's zoom in a little bit closer here to see what's been going on from the perspective of polarized light. And check out this sunspot coming into view. It is quite large. It's got quite a lot of magnetic complexity. Exciting stuff there from SDO. That's the last 24 hours. Also some growth happening around here, and even around here. So increase in sunspot number, increase in radio flux coming. It's a solar uptick. There's the ghost proton flux, which is flatlined here. So none of those flares we saw yesterday did very much. It was a double M-class flare. We streamed it live at twitch.tv/smashomash, where we stream the GOES 16 SUVI regularly. Check that out. Install the mobile app. It's a great screensaver. Just stream the sun all day from our channel if you like. And you can see the X-ray profile rising here. You can expect to see it continue to rise, especially as that sunspot, that new group, which is known as 3112, rising in the northeast. So here's some spectacular imagery from SDO. 131 angstroms and 94 angstroms. So we're going to zoom way in on 3112. Here's the last 24 hours, up close and personal. So 2 M-class flares showing up there in that imagery. Yowzers. Here's 94 angstroms from the same perspective. Those are some pretty big plasma filaments. About 10 Earth diameters there. And let's zoom back out in 94 angstroms. As we bring you the most detailed imagery of the sun and most comprehensive space weather in the world. At the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, we are interested in facts, not fraud, propaganda, grifting, and nonsense. If you'd like to support the content, consider becoming a member of the Smash team. We created our own subscription services site at smashomash.com/smash team. Join at the annual paid-up subscription level. The gold annual paid-up subscription level is indeed the best value. You get complimentary merch. And we've just released some new merch. So check that out. Log in at your subscription level. Thanks to our gold and silver Smash team members for being executive producers of the content, increasing the probability that these videos will continue to exist, remain publicly visible, and remain free for all to view. Smashomash.com/smash team. Although we are still on Patreon, we replaced it with our own superior website. You can find links at the homepage as well as below this video. If you're viewing on BitChute, make sure you tune into YouTube. There are playlists over there with content you'll never see on BitChute. And welcome the Neo-Renaissance to each and every one of you. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to press like and subscribe, share, and comment, etc. I guess we need your help getting the content onto screens because, well, we apparently don't post enough fraud, propaganda, and nonsense to be promoted by certain big tech junkware platforms. I don't know why they promote so many people that are already rich and famous and are saying the same things like a bunch of parrots. One of the other links you can find on the homepage is to SureMed. So if you want to improve your health, join the American Better Health Organization, a nonprofit, not insurance, a nonprofit focused on improving your health. Some of the benefits you get with just a base membership include doctors by phone, counselors by phone, even virtual veterinarians, because we realize that the health of your pets can affect the health of their owners. All kinds of other discounts available there, also with the base membership, as well as access to certain group insurance only available to SureMed members. Need dental and vision coverage? Click the link below the video, and you can sign up for some via my link. It's also on the homepage at smashomash.com. We've also released a new merch item here, and you can find it in our collections. So it's in the Covidiocy collection, as we have multiple different collections there. If you click Shop Products, you'll find links to the collections. And it's a re-release. I'm actually wearing it today. Smasher Price, my first pandemic. So check it out. While we attempt to make Earth not suck again, we're bringing a little bit of levity here. So just mask the world. That's going to prevent a pandemic, right? Sure it is. What a pathetic, infantile, and ineffective response. Anyway, that's what the design's about, so we've re-released it here. And it's all triggered by me being triggered by seeing people wearing masks. I won't comment as to whether it's effective or not. You be the judge. Maybe let us know in the comments what you think about it. But we've even got a mini skirt with Smasher Price, my first pandemic. So get yourself a souvenir. Congratulations on surviving. So far. By the way, it's great for the wall clock design. So a bunch of products there, including shower curtains, comforters, coasters. Maybe pick one up for your friend. It makes a great gift. Prevent a pandemic. Put a mask over the whole world. Don't worry, it'll mysteriously start working at some point because reasons. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. Thanks to all of our YouTube viewers for tolerating the pathetic censorship on the platform. We do appreciate your viewership. Press that share button. If you're an influencer, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to appear on your channel. If you've got a podcast, send us an invite. Would you like us to debate somebody on the flat earth? Please say no. Check out our playlists like driving, riding, and pro tips, terms to find, the diamond anvil too hard to smash, smashomash.org presents the sun, and lots more. Lots of videos there not pertaining to space weather. And let's move on. Hey now.
Sauerkraut Lane.
If you've never seen what it's like riding a bicycle very fast, well, we've got videos about that too. And let's get back to space. And we always encourage our viewers to look up and know what's going on above head. No, those contrails are contrails. They're clouds produced by planes. Anyway, Venus still rising ahead of the sun. If you've got a low horizon, you might see Venus rising just ahead of the sun. It's about to become an evening star. At the moment, still a morning star, the third brightest object in the sky. That's our star chart over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. And here's a solar system forecast. We're going to show you what's going to happen the next 7 days. There's where we'll be in a week, about 1 day from full moon, it looks like. Full moon coming on the 9th or maybe the 10th of October. And let's continue on. Now we're back to space, looking at coronagraphs. And this is yesterday. There were some minor CMEs happening here. Certainly does not look like anything earthly directed. That's yesterday's images. Here's today's images there. Looks like only 18 of them. Let's press refresh just to make sure, and indeed, 18 images. So we'll also look at some other coronagraphs here from Stereo A, located at Lagrange 5, trailing the Earth orbitally speaking, but seeing space weather ahead of the Earth, hence the name Stereo A for ahead. We don't see any earthly directed CMEs as we await the arrival of a high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Nothing new on the way. Great view of Venus there on the Soho-Lasco C3, which is on your right there, the oversaturated, ultra-bright planet. No apparent earthly directed CMEs. If you're new to the channel, Earth would be off in this perspective from Stereo A. And as you can see, no ejecta headed down the earthly pipe. Here's the last 24 hours zoomed out. The Soho-Lasco C3 NC2, as well as the SGO 304 angstroms ionized helium wavelength. And again, you can see some ejecta there. I don't think any of it is on the earthly side. That's all on the far side of the sun, I believe. And let's continue on to look at filaments, and there are a massive number of filaments right now. Check out all the filaments here. That's the El Teide Spain ground-based hydrogen alpha. telescope. And all those dark regions are filaments. The likelihood of coronal mass ejections on the earthly side of the sun remains at nearly 100%. Expect to see some today. They're coming. Will they be directed toward Earth? Well, we'll keep you posted. At the moment, things are still looking pretty stable here. Oh, it looks like there's a little bit of instability happening around this sunspot. So that's the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. That could be a coronal mass ejection unfolding as we stream the video. And here's the last 24 hours and the wavelength with which we started. The 171 plus 335 angstroms SDO composite, the last 24 hours. Just fantastic imagery there from SDO. The James Webb Telescope is very nice, and so is the Hubble, but the SDO, I think, is still my favorite. Let us know what your favorite space telescope is in the comments. So here is our bonus features segment. Satellite charging hazards are non-existent. It's a clear sailing environment at the moment for satellites. The electron flux remains kind of low here. That's the GOES electron flux as measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 17 over the past 3 days. Here's the forecast model. NOAA forecasting low electron flux. I would tend to agree. Here's the one-year chart to put it in context from Solon.info. Or is it a graph? Is a graph and a chart the same thing? Let us know in the comments what you think. Next, the F-flare of the ionosphere, located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Here's the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. We've got some wild swings there, some high-frequency and low-frequency anomalies happening around the South Atlantic anomaly, which, by the way, is now located over the South American continent. It's someplace like around here. As Earth's magnetic fields do indeed shift. And I don't really think it's anything to get very excited about. It's kind of like climate change. It's happening constantly. Anyway, here's the latest image. Here's the anomalygram, actually, showing anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Lots of high-frequency anomalies happening there. Some low-frequency anomalies happening around the Central Pacific in places like Hawaii. And we're going to show you the latest image here in anomalygram and intensitygram. So there's the latest. That's 12:15 Universal Time. Coming at you a little late today with the Daily Space Weather and Meteorology segment. 12:15 Universal Time is the latest ionogram. Next, we'll show the total electron content, showing the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. Your GPS satellite is located at about 12.5 thousand miles of altitude on the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. That's the total electron content in between it and your handset. It includes the thermosphere, ionosphere, and a couple of plasmaspheres worth of free electrons, which can refract your GPS signal. Things still looking pretty chill here, looking pretty organized around the equator. Nothing exciting to report on there. What is exciting is sunspots, because we've got new ones in the south. Whoops. And here's the latest colorized magnetogram. So here's a brand new sunspot. This will get a name today. It's already beta gamma class. You can see a leading south pole field there, followed by a north pole field, makes it beta gamma class. The main story, though, is certainly this sunspot group up here. 3112. Maybe Rush has to make a new album. And I think there's even I think this is going to get its own name also. This sunspot here is not really part of that group. So yeah, check it out. Very magnetically complex sunspot group. The likelihood of even an X-class flare is certainly still there. Anyway, there's the full disk rockback. This group here is growing as well. So a big uptick here in solar activity the past 24 hours. Let's bring up one more series of composites. This is 304, 211, and 171 angstroms from SDO. That's the data from yesterday plus today. And it's time to move to meteorology. Oh, we've got one more bonus. That's the 304 angstroms wavelength for the past 24 hours. Man, the SDO does not fail to impress. Good stuff. Likelihood of major flares, very high. And now we're in the realm of meteorology. We've moved from the sun to the Earth. So this is the UV index here from nullschool.net. And you can see the ultraviolet there as it's now fall in the northern hemisphere, moving south of the equator. No real surprises there. And we used this imagery on yesterday's thumbnail, actually. And it is dark over the eastern world. Let's take a look at what's going on in terms of the winds. There is the surface wind map for the eastern side of the planet. The east side, shout out to the east side. Here are the jet streams. Mild jet streams in this side of the planet at the moment. Here are the jet streams of... Oh, my mistake. These are the jet streams. The 250 hectopascal winds. There we go. That looks a little bit more normal. And here are the jet streams of the western world. Here are the surface winds. And we're getting inundated with rain here in Pennsylvania. It looks like the European forecast was more correct, that the low is moving to the east a little more rapidly than expected. Powerful low pressure here in the southern Pacific. Clockwise rotation indicating that. Here is the surface wind scenario for the central world, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, and here are the jet streams. And let's move into some more data here. Here is the clouds and fog scenario. Great view of that low in the South Pacific. This is clouds and fog in infrared spectra, 3.9 nanometer radiation for the western world. As we're getting struck by a hurricane remnant, which is breaking up at the moment as the low weakens over land. Here's your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county. We've got lots of coastal flood warnings there up the East Coast. Shout out to our Floridian viewers. We hope you are doing well and your power is back on and, you're rebuilding. Hopefully your life is not destroyed and hopefully the southern portion of Florida has not become part of the Caribbean. So here's your weather forecast. This is your pressure and precipitation forecast based on the GFS model. And it looks like that low is going to hang around there. Going to sort of reform around Ocean City, Maryland, and then move back down to the south according to the GFS model. Anyway, that's your GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. Some snow coming to Montana and Wyoming. Here is your total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. It's based on the same model, the GFS, and things did get more mild there, so it looks like the European forecast was more correct. We showed it yesterday on the channel. That's your GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. And let's move to windy.com. This is going to be the European forecast for pressure. Let's see if the GFS and the European model now agree. And indeed, the European model is showing a strong low there forming off the coast of Virginia Beach. So a little bit more similar than they were yesterday. That's your pressure forecast from windy.com for the next 72 hours. Here's your lightning mapper from the NASA GOES lightning mapper. A little bit of terrestrial strikes happening there in the western portion of the country. And do we have any live strikes happening at the moment? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, we indeed do. Some Coloradan lightning there north of Grand Junction. There you go. There's some live thunderclaps at the Demery Canyon Wilderness Study Area. Some thunder rolling in there. lightningmaps.org. It's good times. And next to S Doppler Radar, we'll zoom out briefly here to show all 50 Banana Republic states. There you go. And we'll focus on the lower 48. Before we show the shortwave radiation map and water vapor, let's pause for station identification. You have found the Smash News Network least busted name in news. And here is a shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. Here is the water vapor map. And it looks like things are mopping up a little more quickly than expected, at least by the GFS model. Some jet stream intervention there and some dry, massive air right here mixed into the system is not helping to keep the rain flowing. Anyway, here's your recap to close out today's video. That's vertical motion of water droplets measured by ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Here is your clouds and fog, since it's too dark over half the country to use the visible satellite. And there is water vapor. If your Doppler radar is not giving you the full image of things, use the water vapor map. It will clarify things for you, especially if you understand atmospheric physics. And we hope you do here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-a-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.